Out. I am your nerderator, Dustin House, spreading that good word about affiliate marketing. You're going to find me here on LinkedIn Live every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:15 Pacific time. So please put it on your calendar, stop by and chat it up with me and the legendary guests that I have on. Today, my guest is Jennifer Meyer-Wars, founder and CEO of Above and Beyond. Jennifer, welcome to the Nerdatorium.
Thank you, Dustin. This is my first Nerdatorium visit ever, so I appreciate the invite.
Well, luckily, you've been a nerd for as long as I've known you, and you fit right in here, and that's why you get the invite. Jennifer and I are going to be nerding out about affiliates, so jump in to the live Q&A portion of the chat. Drop a question for Jennifer. She's going to be dropping some great lessons and tips for successful female entrepreneurs out there. And our question of the day, I would love some feedback from the crowd that is listening today. Who is a female role model in your life today? And we'll start off this episode with Jennifer. You go ahead and answer this question.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of throw a co-role model at you. So
right.
Famous person, Sally Ride. I mean, she did go above and beyond, correct?
All right.
But no, seriously, she was blazing trails for females, you know, in a time where there was no thumbprint for women and in an aviation industry. And I just think that's incredible. The other would be my mom. And I mean, seriously, you know, she's completely, you know, she wasn't blazing trails up in an airplane or anything, but she was at home and teaching me life lessons that, you know, I carry with me to this day and hand on to my kids. So she's definitely a great part of who I am today.
Beautiful answer. All right. For those out there that are watching, drop your answer in the chat and let's talk about it. I'd love to hear from you guys. But without further ado here, Jennifer, who are you?
Well, I am the owner and founder, as you said, of Above and Beyond. We are a 20-plus-year-old award-winning agency. I am also the wife of Gary. I have a great husband. I have amazing children, 2 of them, Jackson and Charlie. And I am an avid sports fan. Anything really out of the state of North Carolina, or I should say the University of North Carolina,
Okay.
or the Charlotte area. I love to travel. Been to more countries than states, actually. And yeah, I mean, I lived abroad, but I would be remiss not to mention that I also cruise every now and then, perhaps frequently.
Cruise.
So
that's international waters. Got it.
Yeah, they are.
Awesome. I think my favorite North Carolina athlete of all time has to be Madison Bumgarner from the Giants. So
okay, you didn't go the Michael Jordan route just for fun, eh?
Come on, that's too easy. Too easy. I can go that route. Awesome, and I love your answer here of jumping in with. Yes, I'm a business owner. I have my career, but I also have my family. Not a lot of people like drop that in that kind of question. And the question's designed for you to answer it however you want. I love your answer there. So part of that, I think you and I met. I don't know if we met at a conference, but we were in a chat together, and a chat that somebody invited me into, and then I got to a whole slew of affiliate managers that taught me how to be a better affiliate manager, and you were part of that crew. And then I finally saw you at a conference, at a dinner like I had no business being a part of. I was invited there from a mentor, and then I met you for the first time, and you were overwhelmingly nice to me, and I didn't know why, and you've always been so nice to me, and I really appreciate how open you've been to just me being in your life in that kind of capacity and mentoring me through these years.
Well, you're welcome, Dustin. Jeez.
Anyway, I appreciate you, and I really appreciate you being here today, dropping some knowledge. If you want to get a hold of Jennifer, I'm going to drop her link in the chat here shortly. If you'd like to be a Jennifer seat, come by and be my guest. Go to dustinhouse.com/nerd and sign up and drop a topic that you want to nerd out about in affiliate marketing. I've had a dead link there for the last couple of days or something. So if anybody's done it in the past and it failed, it is working now. Sorry about the mishap. Oh, we've got chats already. All right. Oh, Kristen, big time Evans coming in. Yay, Jen is the GOAT. Stephanie Robbins as well. Jen is always wonderfully, overwhelmingly nice. Correct.
Those are my girls, man. Jeez.
They're two of my favorites as well. So let's get to Above and Beyond. First off, let's get into this name origin story. Always a fun topic. How did this name come about?
Yeah, thank you for asking, actually. So my thought process was, and this is back in 2003, right? So anything that had to do with the web started with E. It's like e-consulting, e-this, e-that.
Okay.
So I wanted to put out there that, and the kind of agency that I wanted to create was something that was very hands-on, very personable, but went above and beyond expectations. So I got really clever and stuck the E in front of above and beyond, and it became Above and Beyond. But one little tiny piece that goes with that is if you see the logo, it's like a little swishy thing. I've been told it looks like a shrimp, but it's actually my thumb in paint. And the color of the paint is actually the same Pantone as the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Tar Heel Blue. So there's a lot that went into that.
Beautiful. Yeah, my DustinHouse.com logo is Giants orange, so I can appreciate that color like drop right there. And so you named it in 2003, and you made the logo. Has the logo survived the whole time as well?
It has, because I think it's timeless, because it's actually, if you look at it, it's going above and beyond, because it's like a little swishy thing upwards.
Oh.
And then the thumbprint is my hands. It's hands-on. It's not, stamped out, etc. So
love it.
Stands the test of time, Dustin.
Fantastic. Sticking with your guns. Love it. In an era of like, maybe it's not right now, but like 5 years ago, like rebranding was super hot, right?
Yes.
Like, and you survived that COVID era and the rebranding era altogether. Oh, you've got another legend coming in and giving love. Absolutely one of the nicest people in the industry. Thank you, Karen. I totally agree. All right, so we know how you got the name. Tell us what you do and who you're servicing out there.
Yeah, so we obviously deal in affiliate marketing, helping our clients to find the right mix of affiliates, to bring in the right demographic and the right traffic, to help grow their businesses and help expand their brand awareness, all those fun things. As far as who we are servicing, it's retail for sure. We cross the gamut. I mean, at any given time, you could say, oh, we have a couple clients in, like food and beverage, or, in apparel or something like that. But, our, kind of take on this is, instead of getting into one vertical, is to take the way we do business, and it actually survives across really any vertical. The way we get to know the client, the way we get to understand their business, it can be applied across several verticals. Okay. I always had the feeling, if you got stuck in one vertical, right, and you were just said, like candy, and you had 5 candy clients. Well, how do you decide who to give that really awesome ruminant space when you get the phone call? You're like, oh, who's paying me more, or who's, So I think diversifying the portfolio of clients is very strong and helps us to grow by working with different demographics, different buying cycles, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the other part of that is you're growing your Rolodex of affiliates that you're working with as well, right? For the long run. And that you can go back to when you find another client in those kinds of verticals. So
absolutely
super important. So you're pretty diversified, but it's mostly focused on e-commerce products, correct?
Yes, and retail. Yeah,
and retail.
Direct to consumer. Yep.
Awesome. And I heard you had some exciting news. You won yourself a new award this year, an Alfie Award. Tell us about that.
Well, it was a surprise nomination. I was out in LA last week. I was nominated. My team and I were nominated. I'm just the only one that flew out there. We're nominated for the Agency of the Year Award. It was a great time out in LA. It was actually hosted by Jeff Ross, the comedian of Comedy Channel, the roaster of all roasters.
Roast master.
Yes.
General, as he puts it.
Yes. And Mix Master Mike was our from Beastie Boys. I mean, it was a good time. It was well done by AFI. A lot of representation by Link Unite, which is a group for women in the workforce, women entrepreneurs and such. Sarah Melo was out there. And the funny part was, so I was surprised to win after sitting there watching Jeff Ross literally roasting everyone that went up on stage. So I was like, okay, I've never not wanted to win an award so bad in my life. And I got up there and I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous that they hand me the mic, introduced me, Darren does. And he proceeds to tell me that I'm, and this is the craziest thing, completely unroastable in every way. I was like, okay, now he's really going to hit me with the zinger. He did make a remark about my dress looking like curtains, but I was like, oh, okay, that's tame. I can handle that.
That's
But yeah,
unbelievable.
so I was so nervous. And then he said that and I was like, okay. So it was crazy. Nothing that I expected, I have to tell you, but it was amazing time. And I'm very proud on behalf of my team. So they deserve it.
Well, congratulations to you. Sad to hear that Jeff couldn't pick on you like he did for everybody else, but
I don't think you need to step in, Dustin. Let me just cut you off there because I know you.
I wouldn't dare. It's like you know me or something. Impressive. Well, congrats on the award. That is awesome to hear. And if they're going to invite Jeff Ross to go, I'm going to go to the next year because that's one of my favorites of all time to go see. Awesome. Let's talk about your career in affiliate. You said you started in 2003. That's 20 plus years now. Let's talk about, and did your career start before that, or that's when you opened the agency, correct?
That's when I opened the agency. Yeah, my career started in 97. I mean, in this industry, I should say. So.
Okay, good to go. And you've witnessed this industry and its up and downs. Like, can you tell us what you've seen in the history? Like, what have you witnessed that is maybe noteworthy throughout time?
Well, I mean, the industry obviously has changed throughout time. And when I say this, I think it'll put it in perspective. But when I started eBuv in 2003, there was no Google. So you actually had to know facts yourself, right? You couldn't just Google them. So, I mean, basically, there's a lot that's happened in the time I've been in the industry. You know, anything from various different regulations where you have to state that, you know, you're receiving payment for different links to the different types of affiliates that have emerged. You know, there's affiliate links now in editorial and publications and things like that that used to be very private in terms of the editors deciding what products and who they would list and so on and so forth. And, you know, now they've become a bit more open to editorial links, you know, and when I say publications, obviously it's like a Cosmo or, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of bridging PR and affiliate together. I would say downs are, well, part of them, I think, just really was e-commerce altogether, right? If all I have to say is 2008, 2009, and we all go, ooh, yeah, that. The whole e-com.
Nobody was buying anything,
right? Right. But what I think an up is, and that we're still navigating, is all the various different technology that has come in, right? I mean, add 5-10 years ago. I mean, if I said something about tweeting, sorry, I still call it Twitter, but anyway.
Okay.
Tweeting, you'd be like, what? You know, or I'm on Insta or I'm Snapchatting or I'm TikToking. You'd be like, what is the matter with you? So, you know, to me, every couple of years we get something brand new, and AI now, right? I mean, it's, what is it? How do we harness it, you know, for the good, right? How do we leverage the value of it as we communicate with our consumers on behalf of our clients? So to me, I find that to be an up. You know, there's within that up, right? There's pitfalls. You're like, oh, that could be a problem. But I really think that the continual technology is an up, you know, but it does force us to kind of constantly stay on our toes on how we're going to navigate that.
Absolutely. And with that technology, it's always hard to pick the real winners. I have found, like, if you really invested in MySpace, you failed, right? Like,
don't tell Justin Timberlake that. I think he bought
it. But my point is, like, there are a lot of different social medias that you can really invest in. Vine might be another one where, like, it was the 6 seconds of bliss, and then that either got bought or like jumped out of the equation. But like, if you were an early adapter to a TikTok and started getting in with the prices were super cheap, you could have made a lot of money, right? But like
Yeah,
finding
if
those
only.
winners, right? Finding those winners are always a difficult part. So, being that you have been in this industry and like started as an entrepreneur back in 2003, you were in the early side. You were a female entrepreneur before it was cool. Like these days, it's much more commonplace, especially in the affiliate realm. I don't know what the statistic is for female entrepreneurs in this industry, but I know it's continuing to go up. But
Yes.
tell us about that journey and like your first start in this industry as an entrepreneur.
Wow. Yeah. So I always kind of make this joke because it's the truth. When I first went to conferences, again, my very first conference ever was February of '03, and it was E-Tail out in California. I remember looking around and there was like not a woman to be found. I mean, there really were no females there at all. And E-Tail obviously isn't just affiliate only. It's kind of everything.
Sure.
And the big benefit to that was there was no bathroom line. That is literally, there were no women, so there was no one in the bathroom line,
Oh, okay.
which that was the benefit. The other side of it was realizing that, you know what, you needed to dig your heels in. And I mean, you got to know your stuff, and you still have to know your stuff. But, you know, at the time I was 28 years old and do the math. And, you know, walking around, you know, I knew what I was talking about. I had a history with Amazon, was where I was previously. And so I knew what I was talking about. And so it's like being comfortable in your shoes and knowing that you know what you're talking about and purveying that. You know, and it was a little harder because, you know, I did feel like at times I was being talked to, I thought I was being talked to differently, or what I had to say was being regarded differently or given a different level of credibility.
Hmm.
So it was definitely a challenge. It took some being scrappy, and which is fine with me. I love a challenge. I'm very competitive, if anyone knows me. So tell me I can't or tell me I don't know, and I'm going to prove you wrong. So kind of married those two things together and just went for it.
Awesome. So you jumped in as an entrepreneur, but you had a little history um, leading up to that. Can you tell us about like uh, what it was like being an employee and then going to a consultant, and where did this leap come from, essentially?
Sure. Well, I was first an employee of Amazon over in the UK. I was there when they first started in '97. So I always say, yeah, I got my MBA and everything e-commerce. I mean, when you work for
Mm.
Amazon, you're getting some serious insight.
That's
And this is
early
back
on
again in
too.
'97. So, I mean, there, you know, this is, I think we were books and music was like the new cool thing we were doing. So it
Holy
was a
cow.
long time ago. I know, right? Um, so I loved it there, but my visa expired. And the truth of the matter, I wasn't willing to move from cold and rainy London to cold and rainy Seattle. So I found a job in Florida on
Okay.
monster.com. You're talking about things that have come and gone. And I took a job actually a little south of here. I'm in Florida now. Worked there and helped them set up their e-com site. It was a catalog company. You know, after 2 years, I kind of got to this point where I had built a great team. I had a lot of people that I'd known from like college and other areas reaching out to me and asking me, you know, what I knew about e-commerce or how could I help or can you help me with my website? And I
Sure.
kind of was ready for a change, something a little more diverse instead of kind of one company. I was like, I liked this idea of thinking about what I knew and how I could apply it to multiple things. So I made the leap in January of '03 to start eBuv. So, and to your point, I did start as a consultant. It was me,
Hmm.
myself, and I, and my dog at the time, but that was it.
Okay. I can't imagine your dog was a great employee. Like, what did you did
She
you get
didn't
him around
complain much.
Excel
She didn't get
reports?
paid
Like,
much.
no? Okay.
She got
Well,
fed and shelter and lots of love, but
fair enough.
so that's
Uh,
kind of where the leap came.
the leap came, and what made that decision? Like, when did you say, I'm done working for somebody, I want to work for myself? And was it a flexibility thing? Was it a job? Like, you saw that the money was going to be better? And what was that decision?
I think it was a little bit of opportunity was going to be better, more personal growth to some extent. The company was family owned, which is fine, totally, you know. But I felt like I kind of wanted something more. And
Mhm.
I, for myself, for personal growth. And the money, I wouldn't say I jumped for the money, because when you jump
Okay.
from something where the check is coming in to somewhere where you are your job
Yeah.
with no one lined up, it definitely wasn't the money out the door. It was more the desire for personal growth, the feeling that I could achieve more, help people more, help
Mhm.
some, what I mean, instead of just in a smaller circumstance. I wanted to see what I was capable of and how much impact I could have on a variety of different people.
Okay, gotcha. And then, did you have clients lined up before you took that leap? Did you have one or two?
Not exactly. I'd had people reach out to me,
Mhm.
kind of asking. And so it kind of planted the seed in my head, I could probably do this if I actually talked to my dad, and because I was like, yeah, I was scared. I was 28 years old. I was like,
Yeah,
it wasn't like I was like, yes, here's my business plan. I'm totally doing this. It was just kind of this gut feel. And it was like, okay, if this doesn't work out, I can get a job. I mean, that's not something
sure.
that you can't do. I just came from Amazon in Europe. I mean, I have international, I had a lot of different things. And so that gave me, the confidence to know that I could give this a try. I mean, give it all you got. Right. And um, so, I made the jump, and it worked out.
Turns
So,
out, yeah.
yeah, yes. I can't say that when I started, I thought I'd be sitting here 20 years later saying that. I can't say I thought I was going to fail. I just wasn't sure what the potential was. I just knew there was something there, and I felt like I could do more, learn more, that kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha. And tell us more about like the hurdles you face during that time. So you make this leap and you start getting a few clients, things are going well. But what are some of the biggest hurdles you were facing, not only as an entrepreneur, but as a female as well in this industry?
Well, as an entrepreneur, kind of what you said, I didn't have any um, necessarily have clients lined up. I
Hmm.
did sign on my first client very shortly after I made the decision, because I'd kind of had conversation going. Um, but I think the hurdles I faced in the beginning were figuring out, like, this. Okay, so now I have this business, right?
Okay.
And again, I didn't sit down and write out this calculated business plan. So there was a lot of flying by the seat of my pants. And some of that was, well, how am I going to get out there? How am I going to meet people? How am I going to network? How are people going to know about me? Right.
Hmm.
Um, so I basically took the money that I had living in London, when I moved back, the exchange rate was in my benefit. So it's like I came back with more money than I had over there. But I spent time going to every single conference I could put my hands on that had ecom, so I had a lot of my flight miles from going back and forth between the States and UK. So long story short, I pulled all my resources, went everywhere I could, because I had to be in the places where people who would need my services were. Um, so I spent a lot of time doing that. So, I mean, I think one of my biggest hurdles was figuring out, how was I going to get the word out? Um, how was I going to grow this business? And then as it evolved, it was, how am I going to do all kinds of stuff, right? Like, how am I going to do billing? How am I going to do, this wasn't like I sat down and thought it out. I was kind of like going through it, as it was happening.
Hmm.
And I think we touched on the hurdles as a female. I'm trying to be as, say this the right way, but being taken seriously,
Uh,
being respected for the knowledge that I did have, being trusted that what I was saying was true, and that I could help, and that I was smart enough and had, again, enough experience to make a difference, to be trusted with somebody's brand, right?
sure.
So I found that to be, that, and being younger. I remember when I turned 30, I was like, yes, now I sound like I'm old enough to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, if only.
Amazing. On that note, like, uh, folks at ASW that have booths have traditionally had, people call them different names, but booth babes
Uh-huh.
might
Yes,
be a
yes.
very common one.
You threw
And
that right out there, right for me.
but like it's a bit cringy, but it's like a career starter, right? Like they put those booth babes in there, and maybe they turn that into a career, maybe they don't. But like, how does that bother you? Like, I mean, you've been going to
Yes,
Affiliate Summit for 20 years, like,
absolutely. Absolutely. I
yeah.
wanted to hug Missy Ward's neck the year that she wouldn't let in these ones that had these fuzzy boots, bikini tops, and little ski hats on or something. Yeah, I find it completely offensive. And it was like you pitched that to me for the perfect home run, because I found that to be absolutely utterly insulting. I mean, we're not standing there with Chippendales behind a woman and the guys would be like, you know, it was just like, it was okay. Cause that's how you looked at women. They were like eye candy. You're using them to bring them to your booth, right? It wasn't a game of like, you know, where they have the little roulette wheels and you get to do that. No, we're just going to bring some booth babes and stand them there and see if people want to come by and visit us. And so it, I think, furthered the mentality within the industry and at conferences at that time. I mean, how do you go from looking at, you know, models or dancers or what have you from Vegas that are standing in booths? I'm pretty sure that they didn't evolve into CEOs of, maybe they did. I could be wrong.
I'm sure there's some success stories out there, right?
Like, maybe the Vegas ones were always over the top, but I think it furthered that culture and further set back what women were trying to do out there, right? Because these guys have been walking around and going like, yeah, yeah. And then you have a meeting with them. They're like, hey, and you're like, no.
Take it down a notch, but
not hey.
That's not what this meeting is. Stephanie has agreed that she's so glad that's phased out.
I think lots of us have talked about that. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's just insulting as all get out. It's kind of like, no.
Yeah, so. And it's always been cringeworthy in my opinion. Like
it is.
Working or like talking through the booths, I almost avoid those booths rather than, because I know what they're trying to do, and that makes me not want to have a conversation.
Distract you, shiny thing. Oh, you're a good guy, Dustin.
Oh, listen to me, virtue signal. Like I'm terrible. Yeah, look how good a guy I am. Like, nah, that's not what I'm saying. What about other hurdles that you think they've faced? Anything else come to mind that we didn't go over in that capacity?
I don't think specific hurdles. I mean, I think, you know, I feel like we've kind of touched on that, you know, getting the respect, you know, really just going out there and making things happen for yourself. You know, I mean, that's not easy. There's days where it was like, I would grab my keyboard and be like, dear Jennifer, I formally resign from this position. No, I mean, you know, I want to quit. Like, when don't you want to? If it, you know, it gets hard. There's a lot of hard things. There's the monetary piece. There's clients that for no apparent reason decide, oh, we got a new marketing manager. We're going to leave and go over with this person. And you're like, oh my God, I'm making you 30% of your business, but okay. I mean, you know, it's rolling with the punches, right? I mean, it's not all rainbows and unicorns by any stretch.
I mean, I want to quit every Monday morning. Like every Monday morning, I want to quit what I'm doing. And like,
I mean,
maybe I'll just go work for UPS. Like, maybe I'll just be a truck driver all of a sudden. Like I
to see what Brown can do for you, Dustin.
Oh, yeah. You know the logo. That's good marketing on their part.
I'm a marketer.
All right. So lessons and tips. What can you give us to those female entrepreneurs that might be on that cusp of like considering leaving their full-time job and getting into this entrepreneurial world?
I mean, I have a couple of things that, you know, when I was thinking about this, you know, I think that male or female, but, you know, I think you really need to build a strong brand yourself. I mean, you asked me about my company right out of the gates, and you can tell I didn't just go, oh, give me a, you know, clip art of something and let's just call it Marketing Girl or something. You know what I mean? Okay. It's building that brand, but not just the outside part that you see. I think the most important part is building what's underneath, the foundation. So to me, that is, you know, the values and what makes your agency unique. And what I believe, this is something my dad taught me a long time ago. It's like hire people that scare you, right? I mean, I'm not talking about like you think they're going to, you know, take you out, but that scare you so much as you think, man, they could do my job. I mean, I want an army of people that, you know, are smarter than me, if, you know, that have better ideas than I do sometimes. Like just arming yourself with a team of people that, again, that scare you. You're like, man, they could take my job right away from me. And, yeah, I've carried that for a long time. I think that's super important, not just to be filling chairs and say, okay, we've got 15 employees. You know, I've got Ann and Bren and Rob. Each one of them's been with me. The minimum of between the three of them, they're like 12, 13, and 14 years they've been with me. And that's a long time. And then Donna and Allison just recently came on post-COVID. But, you know, I think it's finding those people and not filling seats. I mean, I can't tell you how many times where, you know, we were all working more than we, you know, could probably handle on some days, just not to bring in someone, but to bring in the right person that really believes in, you know, the brand that you've built. Like, it's a very important thing to me. eBuff's brand is really important to me.
Right. So that foundation is Sorry to cut you off there.
No, no, no. I
But
mean, I could
like
go
that
on, but
foundation was super important
yeah,
to your brand. But sometimes like you don't want that to be the holdup of you getting started, right? Like
right.
if you want to put a really solid foundation and what your goals are and what are the staples of like your core values, if you
Yeah,
will.
right.
You
Yeah,
want those all in place and what you're going to be about, but those are going to evolve over time once you learn some hard lessons in
yeah.
entrepreneurship. Um, but I want to stress the importance of don't be afraid to get started. Like don't let perfection hold you
No.
back in that
No,
kind of
absolutely
capacity.
not. No, no, I did it on my own at first. Like I said, it was me for a couple of years, until I got pregnant, and then I couldn't just be me anymore. Like, I only have two hands, so
Yeah, gotcha.
so yeah. But yeah, I think that that's important. People always tell me, "How did you take the leap? Weren't you scared?" It's like, well, aren't you scared when you go to work every day? You're not in control of your destiny. You don't know if your boss is going to fire you. You don't know who's going to come in as your next boss. Like at least I felt like I am in control of my own destiny to some extent. I can go out there, put my 2 feet on the ground, and make things happen for myself. Like I had more control than I feel like I did when I worked for someone else, to be honest.
Yes, love that sentiment. I also love that sentiment of hiring people that scare you. That is by far away like the biggest takeaway from me for today. We'll hit that at the end, but like that is a great sentiment. I like to hire people that fill the gaps that I have
Mhm.
professionally, like the things I really hate doing or the things I'm not necessarily good at. That's why
Yep.
Ashwin Bhargava and I made such a great team at WP Engine because I get to do the relationships. He does all the statistics and reporting, and we made a hell of a team in that kind of
Yeah,
capacity.
for
Right.
sure. Yep.
Well, Kristen Evans put down something. She was typing too fast and put something embarrassing in. Stephanie Robbins noting gave me a bigger ick. I don't know what that means. That could be interpreted so many different ways. I don't know. Yeah, just clean it up. This is a family show. Kristen Evans, thank you. Um, Getting back to more tips, I cut you off
You're okay.
because I
Sorry.
was rude, but like just trying to compliment what you were saying there.
No, that's fine.
More, what's that next tip for those entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah. Networking. So I kind of hate that word because A, I feel like it's a buzzword, and
Okay.
B, I feel like it's gotten to, I mentioned how I went out, to every conference I could, right? So I did network in essence. I went and got every business card I could, right? That's what people do. And then they go back and they send their, "Dear Dustin, it was great to meet you." And so they come back, I feel like a lot of times, and then try to sell the product. Okay, I have these 25 cards, I need to sell the product. I took a different approach, and I learned it from my mom, who as a kid, I didn't really appreciate this fact when she made us write thank you notes every Christmas and birthday, literally handwritten thank you notes. No joke. I was like, this is bogus, man. No one does this. Well, now I'm sure nobody does it because you just send an email or a text or something. But
Sure.
anyway, she taught me the value of that long ago. And so I would get on the plane after I'd been to a conference, but after I'd meet someone, I would quickly take notes on the back. I did a lot more listening than
So
talking,
smart. Yeah.
and I wrote notes on the back. And then my plane ride back, I have note cards. I still to this day have eBuv note cards. And I sat there and wrote them, "Thank you for spending time talking to me," as well as touching on a couple things, like, your Giants suck this year, Dustin, boo, or something like that,
You did.
whatever. You
So
get my
right.
point. But it was personable to say, "Hey, I remembered you." Um, with all those people, not just, "Hey, this is eBuv. You totally need me to come in and do your marketing." I wouldn't even talk about my business. I would just say, "Thank you for your time. You cracked me up with your story about this," or, "Oh my God, I can't believe, you're from the same town I am," or, any little tidbit that made them remember me and let them know I'd listened and I wasn't just going, and trying to sell them.
Yes.
And that has come back to me more than once. I've had a client and that came back and said, "I kept that handwritten note on a bulletin board in my office because I'd never had anyone do that." And he's like, "I would use this for an example sometimes in meetings to say, this is what it means to build relationships with people. It's not to do all the talking and try to sell. It's about taking it in and making a personal connection to them, right?" So that relationship building, taking networking, which to me is a cold word, and turn it into relationships, like truly beyond the business card, it's to the person, right? and keeping up with those people in years to come. I mean, I can give you examples of people I met in those early days that would say, yep, I met Jen then. And I've worked with them. Not then. I have people that it was 10 years later before we ever worked together. So it's, that to me is a huge thing, is to take networking away from the cold checklist that you think of and turn it into a personable relationship building tool, because then it will come back to you. Maybe not right away, but it will.
100%. Never burn your bridges. You never know when that person is going to come back into your life down the line.
Right.
I was talking to the guy over at Respona the other day and going through some features of their product. Absolutely love what they're doing. And the guy told me he was an affiliate manager years ago for something else. And then I looked through my emails real quick and I found that we had a conversation 7 years ago that
Yeah,
I completely forgot about.
No, I do that too.
Always fun to reminisce. And
right.
I look back at what I said or what I wrote, and it was appropriate. Like, I'm glad I'm acting how I should for the future. And
Yeah.
I think that's such an important value and lesson that you're dropping there. And love the card thing. Card technology has dropped off dramatically, or like popped up just like every other technology where you can scan badges instead. But
yeah.
I don't love that aspect at conferences. Like, now I'm typing on my phone. It looks like I'm busy doing something else. I like having the conversation, writing on the card, and then when I get back from that conference, follow up in that first 3 days.
Yeah.
You're still doing the same thing, I would assume.
I still write letters and notes a lot of the time. You'd be surprised. You beat the clutter of that see, you just said it, that 3-day window. Everybody sits down there. Okay, I've got it. All right. Hi. And everyone comes back to an inbox and they're just like, ugh, but they're going to open that mail and be like, holy cow. So, I mean, it is a stand apart, I think.
That is amazing.
Sure.
Stephanie says, my kids still do it. That's amazing. Great parenting, Stephanie. Like, that's legit. I don't know if I'm going to go that extra mile with my kids, but
Karen, no.
Karen saying Giants had a rough year, but it was some serious salt in the wound. She's not wrong. That was super rude and by far the meanest thing you've ever said to anyone. Pretty sure.
Bad example. Sorry.
All right. And then one thing before we start wrapping this up, we talked about that employee to the consultant, but like, what was that turning point for you when you go from consultant over into the agency? What was that tipping point for you and for many of the agency owners out there today, you think?
Well, initially, I got pregnant and so I couldn't be the one-man show consultant anymore. And the reason it took me, such a drastic, I think that really pushed me and needed to push me, because I was very much, had built the brand to be the way I wanted it to be, very hands-on, very personable. And I was scared to hand it over to someone else on the behalf of my precious, agency, my first baby. How are they going to do it? What if they messed up? And what if people thought eBuv was terrible now? What if they weren't representing it well? What if they didn't do the things the way I want? Like, I was very nervous to release that. But I think it goes back to that whole team thing. It's like, okay, you're not just handing it over and walking away. You're still there, but pick somebody that you're not afraid to hand it to, or someone you think could do just what you've done or do what you've done, but do it better. It goes back to that. So, I mean, I love agency now. I mean, I have, there's 6 of us or whatever. And I love the fact that I have other people's input. I have other ideas. I mean, you can only think so much on your own, right? I mean, so I just get so much inspiration from my team. They inspire each other, bouncing ideas off each other. I mean, we're all remote. We've never worked in the same office ever. It's not, byproduct of COVID. This is the way it's been. So, there's a lot of, real team building when you're not sitting in the same room. I mean, people think you don't because you don't see people, but we really do, work off of each other and grow as an agency, as a group, based on what each person brings to the table at any given time.
Fantastic. Collaboration within your team is super important, and finding the right people. I'm sure you've had to fire people in the past that didn't quite work out. Doing your best to judge character when you're hiring is an important aspect that you just got to learn um, from trial and error, honestly.
Luckily, I haven't had too many of those because I tend to err on the side of caution. Like I'm like
Sure.
kind of like snotty about who I'll hire.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, there's
I'm
red
really
flags.
picky. I'm really picky.
Sure. Awesome.
So.
No wonder we haven't worked together. All right. So, so what's the affiliate future hold? What do you see in the industry as a top trend that you think is going to really pop off here soon?
I feel like we're in a transition time to some degree.
Okay.
I think we've gone, to me, there were days where it seemed like affiliate was like this bad word where you were paying for people to like you and all this other stuff. I think we've gotten past that now and we realize that, we're monetizing relationships, we're bettering brands by delivering them to good audiences. But as far as what the future holds, I think, part of that falls into the hands of technology. Where does that go next? Because being that we're online, it does guide to some extent, what we're faced with, right? I mean, as far as the future goes, I think I mentioned like AI a minute ago, but what's the next AI in 2 years, right? What's the next? So
Mhm.
it's hard for me to say what the future holds. To be honest, if I knew, I'd be playing the lottery and not talking to you, Dustin.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we can only take educated guesses in this.
I know. And sometimes I step back from doing that because I'd like to see how things unfold. And not go in with jaded eyes or, oh, well, this is definitely going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be no more performance marketing, or how are no third-party cookies going to do? Oh, we're ruined.
Sure.
I'd like to watch things unfold to some degree as they do, because I think that coming in with preconceived notions or what you think it's going to be, then that's what you see happening. And I think keeping an open mind helps keep you creative as the industry continues to evolve.
Gotcha. I mean, I think it's important to gamble on a few things that are futuristic. I saw AI and I started playing around with it immediately, and that was a couple of years ago. And I've worked that into my workflows a lot, and I'm glad that I haven't fallen behind the industry times because of that. But yeah, what's the next AI? Nobody knows. But,
I don't know. Like I said, if I knew, woo.
We've got a LinkedIn user here. I'm not sure who it is, but it looks like it's somebody on your team. Team Buff
Yes.
loves Jinso, treats us like gold, and we're in for another 20 years. Awesome. Looks like you've got fans within the organization. And Big Time Evan says Jen's leadership has been a huge inspiration for me. Fabulous. Thank you. All right, as we wrap up, I want you know what? We don't even have time to defend your post today. I've got to wrap this thing up. You got off the hook this time. How do people connect with you here, Jen?
We've got we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. On our website, you can drop me an email, jennifer@aboveandbeyond.com. We are everywhere we need to be, I think, at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that's an appropriate. I put the LinkedIn profile as well in the chat, so grab that. My lesson of today, having this conversation with you, let's say, what was that? Man, you phrased it just so perfectly. Hire the people that scare you.
You can thank my dad for that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dad. Hire the people that scare you. You want those kind of people in your organization that are going to be smart and take you to that next level. So such a great takeaway. Thank you for that. My guest next week going to be Victor over at Appy Stash, partner recruitment tool that is up and coming. Victor's this young kid just itching to get on this show, and I'm happy to have him on. He's this very enthusiastic entrepreneur, and I'm excited to have him and his tool on. And also Mike McNerney. It's been a long time coming over at Martech Record. I'm very excited to have him on as well. If you want to get my affiliate program checklist, go hit this QR code right up here, or go to dustinhouse.com/checklist and check it out. And that's it for me. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here and dropping this knowledge.
My pleasure.
Awesome. For all those out there, affiliate managers, keep on recruiting. We'll see you out there. Take